Hi, I'm Joe from Sternus, and tonight I'm going to talk to you about a movie called The Backwoods. So, first of all, most of the, dialogue in this movie is spoken in the English language, but there is also a huge chunk of dialogue that's in Spanish. I would say at least a third of the talking in the movie is in the Spanish language with English subs, but if you can deal with just that much foreign language if you don't know Spanish, then you might want to consider checking out this movie. So this film follows a group of people, two couples, who are traveling to the countryside of northern Spain, and it's while they're on this trip that they uncover a certain secret that these locals are keeping, and it's when they try to blow the cover on this and they try to set things right that things start to take a turn for the worse and certain conflicts begin to occur. Now, I recently told a friend of mine that movies like this are more likely to catch my attention, and what I mean by that is, in case you can't see the cover too well, that's Gary Oldman's face covering half of the picture, and it's when a big A-list actor such as this is in a smaller movie that it catches my attention, because something like this tells me that, they're not in the movie just to make a paycheck, which is most likely what he did for Paranoia or the RoboCop remake. If he was in a smaller movie like this where he wasn't likely to be making that much money, it tells me that it could have been because the movie was genuinely good. And, of course, Oldman does a great job, as he usually does, but it never feels like he's outshining anyone else, because it feels like he's part of this sort of ensemble cast in which every member is bringing their A game to the picture. In fact, I would say that the most interesting character is this younger man, whose character's name is Norman, just because he was so frustrating to watch at times. He makes a few decisions throughout the film which aren't entirely agreeable, and as I was watching him, I really didn't know what kind of path his character was going to take later on. And things are not entirely black and white when it comes to good versus evil in the picture. There is definitely a group of people who you could consider the villains, without a doubt, because they do bad things, but they do have their own principles, and they do have their own reasons for what they're doing, because they believe that, what they're doing is, the right thing. There is one guy in the group who lacks any sort of redeemable qualities, and you'll know who I'm talking about when you see him trying to rape someone, but the rest of them don't feel like complete bad guys. There's even one, who has this scene at the very end of the movie which made me look at him and think, maybe he's not all that bad. When it comes to the film's sort of negative aspects, I didn't really like the way it began. During the first act, it has a lot of character drama where it's sort of setting things up, and it was somewhat interesting, but not as interesting as when the protagonists uncovered this big secret and things were being set in motion. So it took me a while to really get into the story. Also, this is a pretty big, nitpicky type of thing, but there's a point where you're going back and forth between this group and that group, and as you're following this group, gunshots are being fired and that group never reacts to it. But then one of the people in this group that you're following gets shot in the head and killed, and that's when that group, stops and looks around like, did you hear that? I guess that gunshots aren't audible unless they kill someone. I don't know. But despite these very minor sort of flaws with the movie, I still really enjoyed it as a whole, and it does come recommended if you're interested in seeing a well-made thriller with very layered characters featuring, Gary Oldman. If he's one of your favorite actors, definitely check this film out. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about the Backwoods. I hope y'all have a good one.